The Johnson farm has belonged to the family since 1943. Bruce's grandfather was freed from slavery on this land. His father persisted despite Jim Crow laws. But in 2003, Bruce lost the family legacy to a fraudulent document. When he returned 20 years later, he came not only to reclaim his own farm, but to fight for the rights of thousands of black farmers. Welcome to Stories of Black Lives. Before we dive into these powerful stories of respect, justice, and hope, please let us know in the comments which country and city you're watching from today. If you want to see more stories like this, hit that subscribe button. And please don't forget to like this video. This is the story of a real struggle that took place in Clarksdale, Mississippi Delta. The extraordinary story of Bruce Johnson, who defended not only his own land, but the rights of all black farmers in America. The red soil of Mississippi, plains covered with cotton fields, and the sound of crickets on warm summer evenings. The Johnson farm was established right in the middle of this landscape, on 450 acres of fertile land. Bruce Johnson's grandfather, Samuel Johnson, had bought this land in 1943. At that time, it was almost impossible for a black man to own land in the South, but Samuel was determined. After being freed from slavery, working on his own land was his biggest dream. Samuel Johnson had saved every penny, worked day and night, and finally bought those 450 acres. White landowners didn't want him, but Samuel was right and determined. That land had become the Johnson family's symbol of freedom. When Bruce's father, Robert Johnson, inherited the farm in the 1960s, Jim Crow laws were still in effect. Black farmers couldn't get bank loans, couldn't join agricultural cooperatives, and had to fight discrimination to take their products to market. But Robert had inherited his father's stubbornness. He grew tomatoes, corn, and soybeans on that land. Every year, every season, despite every difficulty. When Bruce was born in 1975, the farm was already one of the most productive farms in the region. Little Bruce would wake up with the roosters crow in the morning, work in the fields with his father, and listen to the stories told by his grandmother in the evenings. Those stories told of his grandfather Samuel's struggle, the slavery period, the Freedom War. "Bruce, this land was watered with our blood," his grandmother Martha would say. "Your grandfather's sweat, your father's tears, our dreams are in this soil. Never forget, this isn't just land, this is our past and our future." As Bruce grew up, he didn't see farming as just a profession. This was family heritage, identity, a matter of honor. After finishing high school, he studied agricultural engineering at Auburn University. His goal was to expand the family farm and increase productivity with modern technologies. When he graduated from university in 1997, 22-year-old Bruce was a complete idealist. He returned to the farm and started working with his father, Robert. At that time, the farm was doing very well. Debts were minimal, income was stable, land was fertile. Bruce had big dreams. He planned to switch to organic farming, do agritourism, even establish an agricultural museum. In 2000, Bruce got married. His wife, Sarah, was a beautiful and intelligent woman who taught in Jackson. The two started living on the farm together. Sarah gave up city life and embraced country living. She established an organic vegetable garden on the farm, built a chicken coop, and even started beekeeping. "I'm very peaceful here," Sarah would say. "This land has history, has soul. This isn't just home, it's homeland." In 2001, their first child, Michael, was born. As Bruce held his son in his arms, he whispered, "You'll grow up on this land too. You'll follow in your grandfather's and great-grandfather's footsteps." But 2002 was the year everything changed for the Johnson family. That year, Robert Johnson had a heart attack. While he was in the hospital, the management of the farm fell entirely on Bruce's shoulders. Robert recovered, but his health was no longer what it used to be. He couldn't do heavy work on the farm. It was right at that time that problems with loans from First National Bank of Mississippi began. Johnson farm had been using loans from the same bank for years. They paid their debts regularly. But in 2002, Taylor Mitchell was appointed as the new manager of the bank's agricultural loans department. Mitchell was 35 years old, had an MBA, and loved working with big companies. Small family farms weren't for him, especially black family farms. Bruce experienced his first problem with the bank in January 2003. He had applied for the normal loan for spring planting, just like he did every year. But this time Mitchell had changed the loan conditions. "Mr. Johnson," Mitchell had said with a cold expression, "our bank now finds small farms high risk. We need additional collateral to give you a loan." "What additional collateral?" The farm was already shown as collateral. "You need to show the entire farm as collateral. Not just the crop, but the land too." Bruce was surprised. In this bank that had been doing banking for 60 years, such a condition had never been requested. "Mr. Mitchell, our debt payment history is clean." "Why such a condition?" "Rules have changed, Mr. Johnson. Either you accept or you can't get a loan." Bruce had no choice. He had to do spring planting. He had to get a loan. Reluctantly, he signed. That signature was the beginning of the end for the Johnson family. In the summer of 2003, an unexpected drought occurred. The Mississippi Delta region experienced the most severe drought in a decade. Farmers lost their crops, including Bruce. That year, the income from the farm didn't cover the expenses. Under normal conditions in such situations, banks would show flexibility to farmers. They would extend loan terms, restructure payment plans. But Mitchell thought differently. When Bruce requested to postpone the loan payment, Mitchell had sharply refused. "There are no excuses in the business world, Mr. Johnson. Either you pay or you face the consequences. But this is an extraordinary situation. Drought is considered a natural disaster. Not for us. The contract is clear." When Bruce returned home, he told Sarah about the situation. Sarah was pregnant. They were expecting their second child. "What are we going to do, Bruce?" she had asked, worry in her eyes. "I'll find a way," Bruce had said, but there was a growing fear inside him. In October, the bank sent Bruce an official letter. It demanded immediate payment of the entire loan. If he didn't pay, the farm would be auctioned. Bruce went crazy. How can this happen? There was no such clause in the contract. When he examined the contract with a lawyer, he learned the truth. Among the documents he had signed, there was a clause written in small print that gave the bank this authority, so small that Bruce hadn't read it. "This is legal," the lawyer had said, "but it's not ethical. They deceived you. What can we do?" "You can file a lawsuit, but it takes a long time and is expensive. Also, your chances of winning are low." Bruce didn't have enough money for a long legal battle. He had to look for other ways to save the family farm. First, he applied to his relatives, but none of them had such a large amount of money. Then he tried to get loans from other banks, but the farm was already mortgaged to First National Bank. No one was giving loans. In December, the farm was officially put up for auction. Bruce would never forget that day. It was a cold December morning. A small crowd had gathered in front of the farm, mostly land speculators and real estate investors. When the auctioneer announced the opening price, Bruce's heart sank. It was a price far below the farm's real value, but no one was making high bids, as if it had been agreed upon beforehand. Finally, the farm was sold to a company called Taylor Properties. Who was the owner of this company? David Taylor, Taylor Mitchell's older brother. Bruce understood at that moment. He had been trapped from the beginning. Difficult conditions had been deliberately created. The farm had been transferred. On the evening of the auction day, Bruce left the farm with his family. 60 years of family heritage had gone in one day. Bruce had only $3 in his pocket. Their house, their land, their tractors, everything was gone. "Dad, where are we going?" "2-year-old Michael had asked. Bruce couldn't answer, because he didn't know either. The Johnson family stayed at a small motel in Jackson that night. Bruce couldn't sleep. He looked out the window, thinking about the past. How his grandfather had struggled to buy that land. How his father had grown it. The dreams he had built while growing up on that land. The next morning, Sarah had said something to Bruce. "Bruce, I support you. But we can't stay in the past anymore. We need to think about the future. She was right. Bruce had to find a job. He had to support his family. He started working as a sales consultant at an agricultural supplies company in Jackson. His salary was 1/10 of what he earned from the farm, but they had no choice. In 2004, their second child, Emma, was born. When Bruce first held his daughter at the hospital, he cried. "You'll never see the farm," he thought. "You won't know those lands, those stories." Years passed. Bruce was working, trying to support his family. But the anger inside him never went away. Every night he thought about that auction day, Mitchell's face, his grandfather's photograph. In 2008, one day he saw news on television. Several black farmers had filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Agriculture, claiming systematic discrimination. Bruce's blood boiled. So it wasn't just him. So this was a system. That evening he had told Sarah, "I'm going to file a lawsuit too. Bruce, this is very risky. You don't have time or money. But this is right. I won't stay silent." Bruce started doing internet research. He researched the injustices experienced by black farmers, systematic discrimination. What he learned shocked him. Since 1950, the number of black farmers in America had decreased by 98%. This was too big a decline to be explained by economic reasons alone. In 2010, Bruce started law school. He attended night classes. He worked during the day, studied at night. Sarah supported him but was also struggling. "Why are you putting yourself through so much trouble?" "Bruce, because I can't find justice any other way. To change the system, I need to be inside the system." After 4 years of difficult education, Bruce graduated with a law degree in 2014. He was now 39 years old. He had become a lawyer. The first thing he did was file his own lawsuit. But he wasn't alone anymore. He had formed a network with other black farmers he met at university. He founded an association called National Association of Black Farmers. Its purpose was to defend the legal rights of black farmers. In 2015, Bruce filed a lawsuit against First National Bank, not just for his own farm, but as a class action lawsuit on behalf of all black farmers in similar situations. The lawsuit took a long time. Bankers hired powerful lawyers. Bruce and his team were fighting with limited resources, but Bruce was determined. He attended every hearing, examined every document, listened to every witness. In 2018, there was an important development. One of the former bank employees, Marcus Webb, came forward because his conscience wasn't clear. Webb confessed that Mitchell had deliberately targeted black farmers, manipulating loan conditions to put them in difficult situations. Mitchell told us openly. Webb said in court, "These blacks are owning too much land. We need to stop them." This testimony changed the case. It was no longer just individual fraud, but systematic discrimination. In 2019, the court made its decision. First National Bank was found guilty. It was decided that compensation should be paid not only to Bruce, but to 147 black farmers in similar situations. But the big decision came in 2020. The federal court decided that the Department of Agriculture was also guilty of systematic discrimination. It ruled that billions of dollars in compensation should be paid to black farmers. When Bruce won the case, he was 45 years old. After 17 years, he had found justice. But this wasn't just his victory. It was the victory of thousands of black farmers. With the compensation money, Bruce wanted to buy back the family farm, but David Taylor refused to sell. "I won't sell that land to you," he had said. Bruce smiled. "You don't have to sell. I'll take it anyway." Bruce investigated the financial situation of Taylor Properties. The company was in big debt. Banks weren't giving loans to Taylor. Bruce bought the company's debts and proceeded with foreclosure. In 2021, Taylor Properties went bankrupt. The farm was put up for auction again. This time Bruce was ready. He bought back his farm, November 20, 2021. When Bruce passed through the farm gate with his family, there were tears in his eyes. Michael was now 20 years old, studying agricultural engineering. Emma was 17, a young girl who admired her father's struggle. "Dad, we came home," Michael had said. Bruce kissed the soil. "Yes, son, we came home." But for Bruce, this wasn't just a return. This was a beginning. He rebuilt the farm, but this time it was different. The farm also became an education center. He taught young black farmers agricultural techniques and their legal rights. He named the center Black Farmers Heritage Center. His grandfather Samuel's photograph was hung at the entrance of the center. Below it was written, "This land was won for freedom, protected for justice." In 2022, Bruce also began to influence national agricultural policies. He spoke about the problems of black farmers in Congress. He led the enactment of new laws. This struggle isn't just about land. Bruce would say in his speeches, "This is about identity, honor, justice." In 2023, Bruce was elected vice president of the National Farmers Union. He was the first black vice president. "My grandfather was born a slave," he had said in his election speech. "I sit at tables that determine agricultural policies. This shows that America is changing." But the most prideful moment was the birth of his grandson, James. In 2023, Michael's son was born. When Bruce held his grandson in his arms, he was standing in the middle of the farm. "James, you're the fourth generation Johnson," he whispered. "This land is yours too, and no one can take it from you." Sarah came to his side. After 20 years, they were together on the farm again. "Bruce, you didn't just get the farm back. You changed an era." Bruce smiled. "I haven't finished yet, Sarah. I still have a lot of work to do." Because Bruce was no longer just Bruce Johnson. He was the voice of thousands of black farmers, a leader standing against injustice, a symbol that the system was changing. The Johnson farm is still in the Mississippi Delta, on the same red soil. But it's no longer just a farm. It's a symbol of hope, struggle, the will that doesn't bow down to injustice. In Bruce's office hangs an old photograph, taken the day his grandfather bought the land in 1943. Below it is written, "Freedom isn't won in one generation. Every generation must win it again." And Bruce Johnson had won his generation's freedom war. In the months after Bruce's victory, there was an influx of visitors to the farm. Agricultural ministry officials, law students, journalists, television crews. Everyone wanted to hear this extraordinary story. But the most meaningful visit for Bruce was from his 85-year-old neighbor, Willie Mae Jackson. Willie Mae was the only person who knew Bruce's grandfather. When Samuel Johnson bought the land in 1943, Willie Mae was only 7 years old. "Your Uncle Samuel was a very proud man," she told Bruce. Back then, whites didn't want blacks to buy land. But Samuel persisted. He would say, "This land will remain for my children." Bruce's eyes filled with tears. "Aunt Willie Mae, my grandfather was right. This land really remained for his children. And it will remain for his grandchildren too." Willie Mae nodded. "Samuel's soul must be at peace now. You fulfilled his dream, Bruce." A few days after this conversation, Bruce made an important decision. He would open part of the farm to the public as Samuel Johnson Heritage Park. Visitors could learn about his grandfather Samuel's story and the struggle of black farmers. At the park opening, Bruce spoke, "This isn't just to remember the past. It's to shape the future. Let young people see that it's possible not to bow down to injustice." More than 500 people attended the park opening. Black farmers, local politicians, university students. Everyone inspired by Bruce's struggle was there. But the moment Bruce was most proud of was when his grandson James took his first steps on the farm. James, who had turned 1, was walking in the cotton fields holding his grandfather's hand. "James, these are your lands," Bruce would say. "Your great-great-grandfather bought this land for freedom. Your father fought for justice. You will protect it for the future." Sarah was photographing this moment. "Bruce, this photo will be the most important frame in our family history." In 2024, Bruce received a great honor. President Joe Biden invited him to the White House. He wanted him to attend the signing ceremony of the Agricultural Justice Act. This law had been enacted thanks to Bruce's struggle. While talking with President Biden in the Oval Office, Bruce couldn't hide his excitement. "Mr. Johnson," Biden said, "your struggle changed America. This law will ensure that no farmer experiences what you went through in the future." "Mr. President," Bruce said, "this isn't just my success. This is the success of everyone who stands against the injustice of the system. When the law was signed, Bruce remembered a memory. On that auction day in 2003, when leaving the farm, little Michael's question, "Dad, where are we going?" Now he had the answer. "Well, we're going to the future, son, to a future where justice triumphed." After returning from his White House visit, Bruce started a new project, the Next Generation Black Farmers program. This program provided education, credit, and mentorship support to young black farmers. The first graduate of the program was 22-year-old Keisha Williams. Keisha wanted to reclaim her family's lost farm in Georgia. Bruce provided her not only technical support, but also emotional support. "Keisha, I also lost the farm when I was your age," Bruce said. "But I didn't give up. You don't give up either. This land is your right." 6 months later, Keisha reclaimed the family farm. Bruce attended the opening ceremony. "Saving one farm means saving one family," he said in his speech at the ceremony. "Saving one family means saving one community." These success stories continued to multiply. More than 150 young farmers who benefited from Bruce's program reclaimed their lands or established new farms. In the fall of 2024, Bruce received an unexpected phone call. The caller was David Taylor, the brother of the man who had taken his former farm. "Mr. Johnson," Taylor said, his voice trembling, "I want to apologize to you. What my brother and I did was very wrong." Bruce was surprised. "Mr. Taylor, this is an unexpected call. I know. But my conscience isn't clear. We caused you and your family a lot of harm. I want to make amends." "How?" "I want to donate $1 million to your program." Anonymously, Bruce remained silent for a long time. Then he said, "Mr. Taylor, we need your money. But your apology is more valuable." "I accept." This donation enabled the program to grow. Bruce could now work at the national level. He opened offices in every state. In the spring of 2025, Bruce's dream project came true. The Sustainable Black Agriculture Center was established in partnership with Mississippi State University. This center would be a research, education, and technology development center for black farmers. At the opening ceremony, Bruce said, "This center connects the past with the future. It combines our grandfather's love of land with the power of modern technology." Bruce's son Michael was appointed director of the center. Michael had now finished his doctorate in agricultural engineering. "Dad," Michael said, "you laid the foundation. I'll complete the building." Emma also joined the family's struggle. She had finished law school and specialized in agricultural law. "Dad, you saved the land. I'll change the laws," she would say. When 3 generations sat together at the family table, Bruce thought about the past. This was the future that his grandfather Samuel had dreamed of in that small house, under the light of a kerosene lamp. "Grandfather Samuel," Bruce whispered, "your dreams came true. This land is still ours, and it will always be ours." Sarah knew what Bruce was thinking. "Bruce, you didn't just get the farm back. You kept a legacy alive." Bruce smiled. "I haven't finished yet. Sarah, Michael, and Emma will continue. When James grows up, he'll continue. This legacy will pass from generation to generation." That evening, Bruce walked alone in the middle of the farm. In the moonlight, the cotton fields sparkled like silver. The wind rustled the leaves, as if carrying the voices of the past. Bruce took a handful of soil and felt it in his hand. This soil was water with our blood. His grandmother Martha had said. She was right. This soil wasn't just soil. This was the symbol of struggle, resistance, hope. He took out his phone and opened an old photo. A photo taken on the auction day in 2003, the last time they left the farm. Sarah was pregnant, Michael was 2 years old. They all looked sad and hopeless. Now he was standing in the same place, but everything had changed. The farm was bigger, more modern, stronger. His family was stronger, more determined. And most importantly, thousands of families had regained their hope because of him. Bruce put his phone in his pocket and started walking toward home. Behind him, the Johnson farm stood silently in the moonlight. The land where an 82-year story had taken place. The next morning he woke up early. He got on his tractor and went to the fields. He still loved working with his own hands, feeling the soil, watching the crops, harvesting. While working in the field, a car stopped. The person who got out was a black woman in her 30s. There was a small child with her. "Excuse me," the woman said. "I'm Angela Davis. I wrote you a letter," Bruce remembered. Angela was the woman who had asked for help to reclaim her grandfather's farm. She was coming from Alabama. "Angela, welcome. Is this your son?" "Yes, Malik. He's 8 years old. I want to teach him to work on his grandfather's farm." Bruce crouched down next to Malik. "Malik, do you want to be a farmer?" The child shyly nodded. "Then let me show you something," Bruce said. He put him on the tractor. Malik's eyes lit up. After examining Angela's case, Bruce decided to give her full support. "Angela, your case isn't just yours. This is the case of all black farmers." 3 months later, Angela reclaimed her farm. At the opening ceremony, Malik got on his grandfather's tractor. As Bruce watched that moment, he thought, this chain will never break. Because Bruce Johnson was no longer just a farmer. He was the leader of a movement, a symbol of hope, a guide for future generations. And the Johnson farm was no longer just a farm. It was the symbol of resistance, the victory of justice, the home of hope. Every day the rising sun illuminated Bruce Johnson's lands, and every day new hope sprouted on these lands. This story is still continuing. With every newborn child, every new harvest season, every new search for justice, the Johnson lands are still fertile, and Bruce Johnson is still fighting. Because justice doesn't end once it's won. It must be won again every day, and this story has no end. Because this isn't just one family's story. This is the story of the freedom struggle. And the freedom struggle never ends.